Hello everyone. Welcome to Mindspeak on Herald Global. I am Saimik Sen. Joining us today, a poet, a lyricist, a screenwriter who needs no further introduction, Mr. Javed Akhtar. Welcome to Herald Global. First of all, I would like to know, how did you deal with the pandemic, personally and professionally?
Well, I think one should be slightly objective and slightly subjective in such situations. Subjective that you have to be careful, and at the same time objective that it should not become some kind of a terror, and it should not start ruling your life. But don't be adventurous, don't be reckless, but don't be totally scared or a nervous wreck. So I think some midway is the right place, and that is what I did. I am most of the time nowadays in Khandala. We have a house in Khandala, which is a place 2 hours away from Bombay. It's a hill station. This is a much safer place, and we have a big house, so we have lawns, gardens, so we can walk around and so on. And somehow, fortunately, Corona has not found Khandala on the map.
That's so really nice.
It is not here. So we are much safer. And because one could only talk to people the way I'm talking to you, so we had ample time. And I did a lot of writing. I finished a couple of scripts after a long time, wrote some poetry, and I have written songs on Zoom with my music directors and directors, so on. So the work continues, but there is a lot of calm and peace here.
If we start from the beginning, you've always made it clear that no matter what, you're going to write it in your own style. So did you face any challenge because of that?
I don't know so much.
Yeah.
You see, I think we should, I wonder if I have said it in as many words that I write in my own style, because it sounds a bit pompous. If I did, I shouldn't have. And most probably I did not. So, you see, when you begin doing anything, you don't have a style, nobody. And while doing, gradually you find your style, your voice, your texture, your way of communicating things and so on. So you find your voice somewhere on the way. It is not that from the very first day you come up with something. Because if you are a writer, you have read a lot of writers, you have seen so many films where you were impressed by the screenplay, you have read novels, you have read plays, and so on. So you are impressed by certain writers. So they will show their face at some place or the other. They'll keep on appearing in your style of writing. But gradually, you develop your own style. So it doesn't happen the very first day and immediately. Influences are always there. Nobody sans influences. That's not possible. I think only fools and dead people don't learn anything from others. So, but gradually you develop your voice, but you should not be very conscious of it. The moment you become conscious of your own style, then you become a prisoner of it. So let it happen. Do what you feel like doing, write what you feel like writing, the way you want to write, the way you want to compose a tune, the way you want to make a painting. This is my style, and this is what is expected of him. This is too pompous, too fake, too false, and so untrue. People only want good work.
True.
Now, if you should not be very, very analytical or conscious about your own style and your do's and don'ts, it will happen on its own. Thinking about your own self to after a certain point is not healthy.
So you've achieved so much in your career. How would you define your journey?
First of all, I mean, if I start answering it, then it means I have taken it for granted that I have achieved so much in my career.
No,
what is so much? What is the definition of so much? I mean, there are many people who achieve things much more than me. So much is there. There is nothing like so much. the fact is that I genuinely believe, maybe this is also a kind of a conceit, but I do believe that I have not done enough, and I have not done as much as I could do. And I have wasted a lot of time on other things that I shouldn't have. My output should have been much more than what it is. Even today, I feel that my output should be much more than what it is. Uh, so I won't say that I have achieved a lot. Life has been kind to me. I should not be uh, thankless. But the fact is that I could do much more than what I did.
Quite recently, you were heard saying, if I had worked in a more disciplined way, I would have done a lot more. That's a lingering regret. So can you tell us about your regret here? What
Now,
is...
again, you see, I must have said it because I feel that I'm not disciplined at all. But at the same time, life offers you packages. Every package has some plus and some minus. You cannot pick and choose. You cannot edit scenes of your life. Now, you remove scene number 32, which is not a good scene, then you realize that scene number 64, which is the highlight of your script, that also goes with it because they were connected.
Sure.
So perhaps now, if somebody is very disciplined and every day at 10:30 he sits on the table and writes till say 1:30 and then has lunch and then sleep for an hour and gets up again, and then from 3:30 to 5:30 he writes every day. Maybe that is his style. Maybe that is how he can do that. Maybe I don't know when he gets the inputs. I have no idea. But there are some people who are kind of a maverick about it. They are not disciplined. But let me tell you, if you just cannot waste time in a way. When you are ostensibly wasting, you're moving around, you're sitting, you are faffing, you're indulging in conversation which is neither here nor there. But you constantly, the mind keeps picking certain things. And that comes handy. Then ultimately, when out of guilt, you sit down on your writing table, and guilt is very good. Most of the time, my motivation is either guilt or terror. Terror that whether I'll be able to meet my deadline, and guilt that, my God, since 3 days I have not written one word. So that makes me feel guilty.
Okay.
So this pushes you, and perhaps all your mind comes together. I mean, I have great respect for people who can work looking at their wristwatch. Oh, it's 10:30. I should sit down and write. But everybody has his or her own way of working. Mine was indisciplined, and still it is indisciplined. One day I met Busy Bee, who was Behram contractor, who was a great journalist, and he was known as Busy Bee, and he used to write a column every day.
Yes.
And I was a great admirer of Busy Bee, so I told him that I envy you so much. What kind of a discipline you have that every day you write a column. I mean, and you have to give it before 5 o'clock, because after that it won't get to the press. He said, I wish I would have been a disciplined man. The fact is that since years I'm fantasizing that I should write this column a day earlier in the evening, but it has not happened. I come to the office, sit on my typewriter, and I know that I have to give it within few hours. And slowly this fear takes me over, that perhaps today I won't be able to write the column, and I won't be able to meet the deadline. And that ultimately, when I'm too scared, my mind starts working, and then I write it. So see, I mean, the man who was giving a fantastic column every day had to wait for the terror, which would make his neurons work.
Sure. So you often called yourself an equal opportunist atheist. And there's so much of Hindu-Muslim stuff nowadays coming up. So how do you keep yourself impartial opinion maker in the society?
Impartial, I think if you have any conscience or intelligence, it is very difficult to be not impartial. to be impartial should be expected from any reasonably intelligent person. That the person will have certain objectivity, look at things from a distance, have a bird's eye view on things. And if you are not impartial, that tells very poorly about your life and immorality. So I think we think about those people who are not impartial. That's the thing. And besides that, you see, I don't have any religious sentiments at all. This sentiment word makes you unreasonable. You know, religious people have sentiments. They don't have reason, they don't have rationale, they don't have logic. They defend their point of view with sentiments. Have you ever heard that an atheist's sentiments were hurt? Atheists don't have sentiments. They don't need to have sentiments because they have rationality, they have logic, they have reason, they have proofs, they have evidences. In the absence of all this, how do you defend your point of view? By sentiment. I'm feeling bad that you have said that. I'm hurt. Okay, you're hurt, but what about this point, whether it's right or wrong? No. So that is how it is. So thankfully, I'm not a religious person at all. So I don't have sentiments of such sentiments in inverted commas. So I look at things rationally, logically, and try to reach the right conclusion. See, as far as this Hindu-Muslim thing is concerned, an average Indian, whether he's a Hindu or a Muslim, he may have some benign prejudices. Without benign prejudices, I think you can't make your identity. But benign prejudices on every level, you know, the kind of dal that is made in your house, your cousin's house doesn't have such good dal. So, and your child is much more well behaved than your second cousin's child. And so वो सब तो छोटा मोटा bias नहीं होगा तो your language is, I mean, all right, all the languages are good because you are a magnanimous person, so you will say that, but actually my language. तो ये छोटे मोटे जो biases हैं वो ठीक है, but they should not become malignant. वो छोटे मोटे bias से आप अपना दिल बहलाते हैं, you make your life livable and palatable, so one shouldn't object on that. But when they become malignant, they start creating venom, they start creating hatred. Like these are the side effects of cancer. Yes. There are things that so ऐसे ही malignant जो vices हैं, इनके भी side effects होते हैं और उससे फिर आप ऐसे हो जाते हैं. But if you are slightly objective, wise, you can look at things from a distance, then you should not have this problem. As far as average Indian is concerned, I don't think average Indian is a bigot. Average Indian will have certain biases, but vis-a-vis his family, other people's family, his friends, other people's friends, everywhere, he'll have certain bias. My children, their children, my friends, their friends, my college, their college, my university, their university. वो सब तो ठीक है, तो मेरा वाला तो better. वो सब ठीक है, यहाँ तक चलता है. लेकिन when it turns into some kind of obsession and loses total objectivity and balance, and it becomes bitter, aggressive, and offensive, then it's bad. Most of the Indians don't have this problem. There is a French which is becoming bolder and bolder. Because they are becoming bolder, you feel they are becoming bigger. The rest of the people are too intimidated. They don't have the courage to say, no, this is wrong. They keep quiet. And when they are quiet, this mad friend says, see, they are with us. We are representing all of them. All of them are too scared to say that, no, you are not representing us. The fact is this.
Okay, so many times we have seen you openly criticizing the government's functioning on various issues. So the question is, do you face any problem regarding, since you are you?
No. I have never faced any problem. And I have given my opinion not only about the present dispensation, but about the other parties also and other leaders who are in opposition. I have given my opinion about them also. And if I think that whatever this particular person has said, particular party has a stand, the party has taken, or the particular leader who is in opposition, I have criticized them also. I mean, ऐसा थोड़ी है कि all those who are in the opposition are perfect people. They also make sometimes statements which are not to be accepted. And we as the citizens of a democratic country have the right to give ear to our opinion. And I think most of the people I know that people are scared and very scared, but I think it is unnecessary and highly exaggerated. I have been criticizing anything that I don't like, and I think it is important, not that everything that I don't like, I don't mention. I mean, then you won't have any time. There are so many dislikable things in the world that you won't have time to do anything else. But when I think it's important to give my opinion, or I should, as a responsible citizen, I have given that. I have never faced any repercussion. Nobody has come to me and threatened me. Yes, some parties, group have threatened me, but they were not from the government. They say, people say that they have the patronage of their powers that be or whatever. अभी मैं क्यों उसे guess करूं? Fact ये है कि मुझे तो ऐसा कोई problem हुआ नहीं. तो मैं ये समझता हूं कि we are unnecessarily too scared, too frightened, too cowed down. It's not necessary. You can give your opinion, say it openly, see what happens. क्या होगा?
Okay, so you have played multiple roles in your career as a poet, lyricist, screenwriter. So which role is closer to your heart?
All of them. That's why these are my roles. कोई भी अगर मुझे कम पसंद होता तो मैं क्यों करता? एक दूसरे ये कि you, nobody, not only me, you, me, or anybody, are not one role. We are actually a kind of a collage of many roles. All of us. Somebody is a professional, then he's a family member, then he has a friend circle, then he's a member of a particular club, then he has certain political ideology, so he relates to some people in politics, doesn't relate to some people, and he has different kind of roles. Everybody, and then he may be or she may be a spouse or a parent. So in every sphere, in every role, your vocabulary, your style, your sensibility, your approach changes. All of us are playing multiple roles. So there is nothing unusual about it.
Can you recite few lines from any of your favorite poem written by you?
See, I can recite a few lines from a poem, but favorite, I don't have a favorite poem, because favorite means accepting that this is my best and ab to isse upar kya hoga. Once you have done your work, your work is also like children. Yes, you have brought them in the world. You, up to a point, you raise them. And then they become identity in themselves. They become people in themselves. You can't, it's not fair to take their credit. Then they become self-generating. The work also, a song that you have written, when it has gone to public domain and public has accepted it, suppose it has become very successful. It has not become successful because you have written it. That's not the only reason. It has become successful because there were many people who saw something of theirs in it. They identified with their experience and their emotions. And that made this song a successful song, or a story, or a character, or a dialogue, or a script, or a novel, or a short story, or whatever, or a painting. they become successful with the participation of the reader or the audience or the viewer. It means their emotions, their feelings, their experiences come together and enter this zone and make this song or this piece of art successful. It is not only yours. The success doesn't belong only to you. The success belongs to each one who appreciated it.
Sure. Okay. So,
तो
what are
उसमें
you?
अपना ये मेरा फेवरेट है. इतना जो काम हो गया वो चला गया, वो पब्लिक डोमेन में है, वो सबका है. अब उसमें उस पे ज्यादा क्लेम करना और टू से ये मेरा बेस्ट वर्क है. What a shame if you're saying this is my favorite work. बाकी तुमने खराब लिखे थे क्या? और बाकी आगे भी कुछ नहीं लिखने वाले. There shouldn't be any favorite. तो चलिए आपको सुना देंगे towards the end कुछ और बोलिए.
Okay. What are your views on today's script writers and lyricists, the whole field of literature as in poetry, shayaris and ghazals?
See, everything has changed with time, and that is how it ought to be. The language, the style, the tempo, the pitching, the wavelength, everything has changed. And at any given time, most of our work has always been very ordinary and perhaps below ordinary, and some work has been exceptionally good. So, you see, that is why the golden age was never the present age. It was always in the past. And even today now, some of the people tell me, oh, 70s में ऐसा था और 80s में वैसा था. अरे भाई, और देखिए 50s 60s में क्या फिल्में बनी थी. प्यासा, श्री 420, मदर इंडिया, देवदास, सुजाता. Every year we used to produce roughly 900 films. You have selected some 20-25 pictures of decades. And then you say, देखिए पहले कितनी अच्छी फिल्में बनती थी. इसके अलावा भी तो बनी है बहुत सी फिल्में जिनका आपको नाम भी नहीं याद है. आपको तो नहीं याद है ना कि वो गेस्ट हाउस जो बनी थी, टावर हाउस जो बनी थी, शिनशना की बुबला बू जो बनी थी, पता नहीं क्या क्या फिल्में बनती थी, हूरे अरब जो बनी थी, वो तो आपको याद नहीं रही. तो जो खराब फिल्में थी, मामूली फिल्में थी, तो उनका नाम भी नहीं याद आपको. वो एक्टर भी आप भूल गए, वो फिल्में भी भूल गए. जो कमाल की फिल्में थी, मदर इंडिया, मुगले आजम, प्यासा, श्री 420, ईसा बारा, गंगा यमुना, ये आपको याद रहेगी. अब आप ये एग्जांपल देते, लुक एट दिस, व्हाट दे यूज्ड टू मेक अर्लियर. भाई इसके अलावा जो बिल्कुल बेकार काम हुआ था वो नहीं याद. उसी तरह इन फ्यूचर अभी भी हमारे यहाँ कुछ बहुत कमाल की फिल्म. नाउ डेफिनेशन ऑफ कमाल की पिक्चर है आर्टिकल 15, उड़ान, गली बॉय.
Yes.
ये जो पिक्चर्स बनी है, शाहिद एक पिक्चर थी. ऐसे मैं आपको 20-25 पिक्चर्स बता सकता हूँ. माइंड ब्लोइंग फिल्म्स. और ऐसी फिल्में पहले नहीं बनी थी. These films are being made today. And after 20 years, we'll say, wow, do you remember? The first decade and the second decade of 21st century. What films we had made. Golden era. ये golden era हो जाएगा because you will forget all the kachara and you will only remember the good work. That's how it happens. The losses of language. And the language, this loss of language, which we can see in dialogue and in lyrics particularly. Dialogue to फिर भी ठीक है, because I think today's dialogue in cinema has come much closer to reality than what it was in 70s or 80s or 90s or earlier. But yes, certainly aesthetics has taken few steps back in songs. But you can't blame only the songwriter or the music director or even the director. Language is shrinking in our society. I think today's generation vocabulary is much smaller than the vocabulary of their elders. So when language will shrink, it will shrink everywhere, including cinema, which is a part of the society. And we did not give enough importance to fine arts, including poetry, literature. They were not on the priority list of the parents or the schools. So children are, younger generation is not familiar with good language. They don't have enough vocabulary. And this loss is seen in the film songs also.
So you have spent so much of time in this industry. So do you think the artist in today's time, it is more difficult for him to establish as compared to earlier time?
The world has never been an easy place. You see, to establish yourself, to make a name for yourself, to find a place in the sun was always difficult. But yes, today there is one facility. There are more than one doors that you can knock. When I entered film industry, there was only film industry with one main door. So either you were out of it, or perhaps you had your foot in the door, or you were inside. But today there are many doors. I mean, you can go to channel, you can go in OTT, you can, and so on and so forth. So lot of new talent is coming. If you watch TV channels, if you watch OTT, you see tremendous talent. And before you can say wow to one talent, another comes. So this kind of influx of very good talent was not there before, because the door was small and one. Yes, so we may not have, say, a Dilip Kumar or an Amitabh Bachchan as a leading man today, but the average performance of actor has improved a lot, a lot. You don't see any hemming today. Uh, and we have very sensitive directors also, writers. They have made some very good films. And bad work has always been done. Even today, you see bad films. That's not
okay.
We have never been short of bad films in any decade. I promise you.
Sure. My last question to you: what would you like to suggest the aspiring artist in a time like
Artist
this?
In which field?
In your field?
In which?
Lyricist, screenwriter.
See, there are dance schools in the world. There are music schools in the world. There are acting schools in the world. Direction is taught, and so on. I wonder if there are any school in the world that teaches you poetry. So how do you learn writing poetry? There are no schools. There are no classes. By reading poetry. I'll suggest to youngsters who want to write lyrics, or they want to write poetry, or they want to write screenplays, scripts. Don't think that I want to become a film script writer, so I'll see only films or I'll read film scripts. No, sorry. If you want to be a playback singer and a competent playback singer like Lata Mangeshkar, like Sonu Nigam, like Shankar Mahadevan, like Asha Bhosle, then it is not enough that you have a good voice. You have to learn music, and you have to learn the classical. You say, why should I learn classical? I want to sing film songs. You will only be able to sing film songs properly if you have command over Sargam. The same way, don't think that why should I read serious literature? I want to be a scriptwriter. Why should I read great poets? I want to be a lyricist. That will be wrong. When you will read them, when you will learn their style of writing, usage of words, how they balance sounds in a line. What is the phonetic effect of poetry? How they have created this effect? How they use words. The words have a certain meaning in the dictionary. That's not enough. The word has a persona. The sound of the word is its physical appearance. The word is also known by the company it has kept, like human beings. If you understand that this word, if I use this word, what kind of references this word will evoke in an average mind on subconscious level, then you write well and with some competence. And that you learn only by reading the masters, and not only reading them. As much as possible, you should remember poetry by heart. Then you will know its music. Then you will know its magic, understand its magic. So you have to do that. There is a word in music in India, shayari. You see, we have talent, we have passion, we have people who are enthusiastic, who are really interested. I don't doubt their intentions, but I'll suggest to them shayari. Before the output, seriously think about the intake. When the intake will be ample, then output will be so easy.
Okay, so before ending this interview, can we have those few lines from you, if you can?
Okay. You see, I had written 2 lines which are complete in themselves about human ambition. That wherever you reach, you want to have a little more. And when you reach that little more, again a little more. There is no end to it. Sabka khushi se fasla ek kadam hai. You're only one step away from happiness. सबका खुशी से फासला एक कदम है. हर घर में बस एक ही कमरा कम है.
Thank you so much. Amazing it was.